Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie, and today I'm going to play a little bit more with the Serengeti Safari collection. And I have decided I want to use the Leopardskin Jasper pendant. Now, I got a pretty one. So that's got just so much design in it, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous and on both sides. So I've already attached a pendant bell on it, just, you know, your little pinch bell. And I've decided to use copper instead of gold because I wear more copper than I do gold. I'm more of a copper silver person. So since I'm making this for me, that's what I'm using. And let's see, so I've pulled the Leopardskin Jasper Nugget beads and I've just kind of laid out a little bit what I'm looking for. And then I had a whole bunch of these copper spacer beads. So they've got a nice pattern on them. And a little bit elongated, so that can add some length to the necklace. And then I've got a magnetic clasp. So this is one of those strong ones, so it'll stay together. I've got some crimp beads, color doesn't matter, and then some copper crimp covers. And I found a bag of antique copper jump rings right here. So I think those are 4 or 5 millimeter, I'm not sure, but I'll have to play with it. So I'm just going to kind of improvise here. I think sometimes that's the best way to go. So I'm going to pull, I guess, about 30 inches of wire just to make sure I have plenty for a necklace, and cut it. And this time I'm going from the center because I'm not sure how long the necklace is going to be overall. So I'm going to go ahead and string on the pendant. Just kind of center it. It's not a big deal. And then I'm going to put on one of the nugget beads, which I'm in love with. All the natural colors and patterns in these beads. And you know, it's real stone. It's got a nice cool feel to it, so I think that's good for summertime. So I'm just putting my base beads on, seeing how I want this to lay, and you know, if it's going to look good. So if I keep it fairly tight, looks like that pendant will just easily go right in between and lay flat. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is kind of get started. I'm going to, I usually just, you know, do one and then the other. So I'm going to put on a copper and then a stone. And so I decided I bought a new tripod for above my desk, and so I've got my iPhone on it, so hopefully you can see everything and it comes out a little bit better than the old camera that I had. So I'm just trying it out to see, you know, if I like this method better. Also got some new microphones to use with the iPhone, but then realized that the actual phone sounds better than the microphones. So I'm not going to use the microphones. So I'm just stringing these on. Kind of hard to see the holes sometimes. But I'm just putting one on, you know, a stone and then a copper bead. And sometimes you got to search for the holes. So these seem to be a little more side drilled, which I like that. That way I can have, you know, a little bit more volume going around. But I like the look. It's subtle. You know, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. But, you know, the stones kind of make a statement on their own, so I don't want to detract from them. I want it to actually focus more on the stones. So what I'm doing is I pulled out all the stones that I had, you know, for the nugget beads. And if I don't have enough to go around my neck, then as usual, of course, I'm gonna, you know, find a chain and attach it to a chain. But I want to see how far I can get first with what I have. So I haven't even picked out a chain yet, but I will shortly if needed. Okay, there's my hole. That's a nice stripe on that one. Can you see it? These beads have a lot of character. I don't even know yet if I'm even or not, but it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes you just don't have to formally measure. Just put it on and work with it as you go. That's why I like my method of, you know, putting necklaces together, is because I can keep it versatile and very practical. Alright, so I'm doing this side. Sometimes it does take a second to find the holes. Let's see, that one's on this side. See those patterns? It's just, these are just, Leopardskin Jasper is just amazing. Now, one thing I will measure is side to side. You know, I want to get my sides even, of course. So when I start getting to the end, then I'll start comparing and lining them up just to make sure that they're centered. But it is pretty relaxing, you know. It's kind of mindless. You know, when you string them on this way, you don't have to worry about specific patterns other than every other one, which is good. And then, you know, measuring them evenly. And working with what I have. I like how some of these stones are light, but then some of them have reds in them or black and white, and, you know, just different color combinations. I think that looks really cool. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of preliminary measure here. Okay, so I would consider that even where I'm at right now. So what I'm going to do is split these up. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I have an extra one that I won't need. And then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be good for me. Okay, so I'm going to finish up my ends. I don't know if it's easier holding it in my right hand or my left hand, but I think the right hand seems to be a little bit faster when stringing on these beads and trying to find holes. All right, got one side done. Then I'm going to finish these. And I think my next project, I'm going to go back to my seed beads. Because, to be honest, that is my real love. And maybe I'll incorporate the seed beads, you know, with stone beads. I can find a way. But, you know, I don't want to neglect my beloved seed beads. That's what I use mostly and have the most experience with. Okay. So I'm going to test it, see if this is all even. What it looks like. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So at this point, I'm not going to worry about measuring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a crimp cover. Now, I could only find the single loops in copper, but that's okay. Still works the same way. So I'm going to run that up through. I'm going to put on a crimp bead, and doesn't matter what color I use. And let's see, to minimize waste, I'm going to come up towards the end, because I can bring the necklace, you know, towards the end and then finish the other side. That way, you know, anything left over I can make bracelets out of, or earrings, or whatever I want to do with them. You know, it'll leave me plenty to work with. Okay, so I'm grabbing my pliers, and I'm going to take this finger in my thumbnail and just kind of pull it down, and then pull that up and smash it. Just like that. And I'm going to take my trusty wire cutters and just trim close. I usually leave about 1/8 of an inch just to be sure. And I'm going to try my medium crimp tool just so I can bend it in and make this crimp bead a little bit smaller, in hopes it works without coming apart. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you have to do it carefully, but when it works, it works. Okay, so that's not going anywhere. And now I'm bringing up my crimp cover. And of course I like to close it. You know, just kind of stick my thumbnail in between there and close it up as usual. The only harder part with the singles is it's a little bit harder to close on the side, but actually it is clean, so that looks pretty good. I got a little bit sticking out right there, so I'm just going to take my crimp pliers and trim that piece of wire off so it doesn't stick out. Okay. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this down all the way. And I want to be mindful that these beads in the center, you know, that they kind of wrap around that bell a little bit and tight enough around it just so it'll stay in there and, you know, look natural, like it's supposed to be there. Okay, so I'm adding another crimp bead, and looks like I'm going to have plenty of wire left over. Oops, I need a crimp cover first. Always got to start with the crimp cover. Okay, now put that in there. And grab that one. And I like to coil it, and of course, the clasp is sticking to it. Go figure. That happens when you use metal. Okay, so I'm just bringing my crimp bead up, and one of these days I'll do my nails. But I do so much with my hands that, you know, I'm always scared to do nails because I'll mess them up, and they're expensive. So, I haven't mastered stick-on nails yet. I would like to, and I'll try it later on. Okay, so I flattened my crimp bead, and now I'm just kind of bending it, you know, using the crimp tool to kind of try to fold it over, at least what I can, and then pull it together. And this is sometimes the hard part. Just got that piece of wire over it, so just got to kind of work around it. But all I'm trying to do is bend it in half just so it's a little bit smaller. It'll go inside of the crimp cover neatly. All right. Trim my wire. Okay, so I got plenty left over to work with. I need to get me like a bowl or something, you know, the wire scrap bowl. I think I'll do that in a minute. Just so I can put those wires in there and use them when I need them. Okay, so now I'm going to fold this over. And sometimes holding on to it is easy, sometimes it's not. All right, so I got it bent just a little bit, so I'm going to take my pliers and see if I can easily get that closed. Yeah. All right, so one good thing about the single looped wire covers is you don't have to really match up poles or anything. All you gotta do is get it closed. Okay, so that looks good. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna pull my clasp, and I'm gonna move these aside. So I'm gonna use the clasp next. I'm hoping my video's turning out okay and you can see everything. I just got to remember to keep my hands in the middle of the board so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so this necklace, of course, won't be long enough. That's all the, you know, the nuggets that I had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag out my chain box and see what I've got in copper. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my box of chain out, and I see some chain here, so I've got some like variegated chain that's kind of cool, and then I've got regular curb chain. I'm going to keep it simple, so I'm going to use the antique curb chain. So that'll be fun. Okay, now this is what I normally do to make a necklace fit. And I'm going to stick it all together because it's got a magnified clasp. Okay, so I'm going to put a jump ring on one end and I'm going to attach it to my chain. This will be the easy no measure method. You just do it how you like it. So I'm going to run that through there, and I'm going to grab an end of my curb chain. Yeah, this chain will be perfect because it's kind of subtle, you know, it's a nice copper, but it's not too big to be over noticeable, you know. I just want it subtle on there. And it's mainly just to lengthen the necklace. Okay, so I've got that nice and together, I think. Maybe not. Oh, well, now it is. Okay, did you hear that? Alright, I'm just making sure it's even. Alright, and the next step is I'm going to hold on to my ends. I'm going to put this around my neck. Give me 1 second. And then I'm going to put my finger where I want the chain to be at my cutting point. So I kind of like it like, you know, just on my chest a little bit. Alright, so that might be 8 inches of chain, which is plenty. Oops, can't use that. I have to use my wire cutters. Okay. That's all I need of that. I am always ordering chain, and my chain box, it's heavy, but I pretty much have what I need in there. So I'm not complaining. Alright, so second part is I will take the next jump ring and I'm putting it in the other end of the necklace. And in the other side of the curb chain, or the link chain here. Okay, I'm happy with that. I always test it out. Best way to test it is with your fingers. That way you can feel, is it going to catch on your clothing or in your hair, which is the worst. You know, so you want it tight together, but you don't want anything sticking out. So I'm happy with that. Okay, and last but not least, I love my iPhone is wide angle, and you know, I can zoom in post if I want to. Alright, so I'm going to find a halfway point. Grab this with my fingers, and I'm going to trim it in half right here. That's where I'm going to attach the clasp. And I've got 2 jump rings. Doop. Only need 2. And this is the fun part. It's keeping it from sticking to itself and tangling up. But then again, you know, the magnetic clasps are good for necklaces. I don't really like them for bracelets because I'm always scared they'll come apart. But then again, it is kind of hard for me to open and close them and wear them around my wrist, which is why I usually wear like beaded bangles or wire bangles. Okay, oh, it's still pretty rough. So that one's got to be put together. So, dick. Okay, that went into place. All right, that feels good. And one more. Yeah, I guess one of the reasons I really like doing chain in the back of my necklaces is A, to extend them, you know, if there aren't enough beads to go all the way around, you know, and I have versatility because I can make them as long as I want to. But also, you don't see the beads in the back anyway, so, you know, no point in wasting them. Okay, so I'm very happy with that. I'd say my necklace is probably, let's see how long it is. I've got a tape measure right here. So altogether, it's about a 25-inch necklace as far as the necklace part goes. So just reading it 12.5. So I think that'll be perfect. So there we have it. Another simple necklace. And this is pretty much my standard way of making necklaces, but with beautiful, beautiful leopardskin Jasper beads. So we're going to play some more. I've just got to come up with a new project, so I'll be back. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments down below. Make creativity be your guide.